Hi.
Hello. Hi. Sorry, I only just saw your text message. I was in the middle of doing some plastering, so I didn't have my my phone nearby.
This is a podcast in which two friends talk about the pleasures, absurdities, and imperfections of being human. I'm Simon Ellis.
And I'm Lee Miller. Welcome to Midlifing. I thought that you would have to be delivering bread, which is why I decided to do something equally valuable with my time, which was replastering a wall.
Oh, that is a which wall?
It was the wall above the front door, and by the side of the front door in the house.
I know those walls.
And for those of you who are thinking, I didn't think that Lee had that many skills, that he could actually work as a plasterer as well, I want to be very clear. I live in a house that was built in, well, actually there's some debate whether it was 1540 or 1580, but nevertheless, it doesn't have a single straight or true wall, and there are multiple places where you can see fingerprints of previous people trying to patch up walls. So it's pretty okay for me to just lob some sand and cement up. It wasn't sand and cement, but you know what I mean.
It is a very wonky house, it's true, isn't it?
Oh, it is very, very wonky. But
Yeah.
I suppose when you're over 500 years old, you have every right to be wonky.
I think it's a little bit like Gringotts Bank from Diagon Alley and Harry Potter.
I will take your word for that, because I haven't been.
No, I haven't been yet either.
I keep my money in singing frog. Oh, God, I've got no idea what the mythology is. How's your week?
Not too bad. I mean, just to put a full stop on last week's conversation, I had two different pieces of met with two different sort of financial advisor people.
And what was their advice? Buy a house.
They said they both laughed when I said, "Look, I want to tell you that I have no idea about these things." And then one of them in particular, I got to the point every time she used what I thought was a little bit of jargon, which I think most people wouldn't conceive of as jargon. I just got to the point where I could just raise an eyebrow and she would just start laughing because, you know, it was really interesting just how little I knew and also how comfortable, I have to say, I felt saying, no, I don't have any idea about that.
I am curious, though, what the advice is. Have you put it all in gold? Is that why you were at Gringotts?
That's exactly why I was at Gringotts, yes. I've put it all in gold. I now have 4 gold coins.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congrats.
The advice was, well, it was interesting in the sense, which is, you know, and it's not surprising, which is just about, well, what kind of person are you? And, you know, that just in relation to risk. I wonder my relationship to financial risk, how different it is from my relationship to physical risk or my relationship to etc. You know, and I just don't have any real sense of that. Although I have a sneaky feeling that I'm pretty risk averse when it comes to money.
Okay. What about going to a casino and putting it all on 28 black?
Well, I did that as well. That wasn't good. I'm actually penniless now. It was a good week.
Well,
so thanks for
Mr.
your
High
help.
Roller.
Thanks for your help. It's Dr. High Roller to you.
No, I think actually you probably gambled that away as well. You've got nothing left, not even your certificates.
No, I can't. Yes, it was really interesting. It was not least because I think any time when you bump into someone whose expertise is not your own, I just find that situation fascinating.
Did I tell you that we had a new carpet fitted on the stairs relatively recently?
I think you did, and because I know that you've definitely mentioned on the podcast just how much that carpet has been worn down by, let's say, animals.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to lay it at their feet, literally. But one of the things that I found absolutely humbling was the speed and precision with which Paul, which for that was his name, was able to navigate a really tricky... I've already talked about the wonkiness of the walls. You can imagine what our stairs are like. Although he said it wasn't the worst staircase he's encountered in Totnes.
Yeah, I think that's being called damned with faint praise, isn't it?
Oh, no. No, I think it was a high watermark. He went, oh, no, this was fine. I got it done in a day. It's like it took nearly a full day to lay a stair carpet, and he was sweating. He was really going some. Anyway, it was just every time I opened the door to say, do you need a cup of tea? Don't have time. Carrying on. It was just amazing to watch somebody with, the skill and dexterity to do something that, for me, would have taken a month and would have looked like a dog's breakfast or dinner or lunch. It would have looked like dog food.
Yeah, sorry, Jeffrey. I mean, there's nothing wrong with dog's food, but yes, it doesn't look great, does it? Do you? I think I would hazard a guess that no. I think it's one of my favourite things in the world is to watch people do skilled work, or it doesn't have to be work, but a hobby or something where they're displaying a kind of sense of craft and understanding of something. I just think it's so beautiful. It moves me tremendously, no matter what the thing we're talking about. Beautiful dexterity and anticipation and sensitivity and all those things that we call being skilled.
Yes. There's a hair salon across the road from us that has big windows, and in the wintertime of an evening when people are getting their hair done and I'm walking the dog, I do enjoy pausing and just watching the stylists. And it's mostly to watch their faces, because their faces are just, they're so transported when they are in the act of doing something. They don't look like the people that they look like when they're having the polite chats beforehand. Wonderful.
Yeah, I used to have she really was a hairstylist, someone who I paid a leg and an arm to see in London. In fact, I stopped because it was just, the non-profligate part of myself just went, that's not what I want to spend my money on. But she was extraordinary in the way in which she would look at your head and hair, say very little. She wasn't like she'd say, what would you like done? It was not that kind of place. And she'd go, I'm thinking this. And then there was really such an amazing sense of her working with the contours and the shape and the form and the texture of, and it was. I used to just fantastic. Really, really loved it.
Please, can I just circle back to that non-profligate part of yourself that stopped seeing somebody that brought you pleasure?
Yes.
What's that about?
Well, I think it's because I'm just going to blame my father. Mm-hmm. It's a theme. No, I don't really. I'm not into blaming parents, but I think my father did have a very particular. This is the man of, as you know well, of reversible jumpers, because he was getting two for the price of one. Yeah. And so I think I got a pretty healthy dose of that kind of, I'm going to say, care when it comes to money. Yeah, and so but your question is a good one. Also, the thing about those haircuts, which I did love, they made my hair much more difficult to manage.
Right, okay.
So my hair became a little bit more of a sideshow to my life, more than I wanted it to be.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yes, it brought me pleasure, the actual haircut and also her work, and no question. But it was just a little bit, no, I want to spend my money on other things, like buying flour.
I'm still just I'm bumping against that idea of being careful. Because as you know, my parents, my dad particularly, brought up in poverty. I would not describe him as a profligate man. Will be ending his life very comfortable compared to how he started his life.
Sure.
Worked incredibly hard. None of that is intergenerational wealth. That's all stuff that he has earned and made, and that my mum my mum has gambled him towards. So it's a partnership, absolutely. But I remember probably when I got my second house. So this would be, well, actually, it would be the third. The big tall one in Northampton.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So there was something that I needed to have done. I think I wanted to have a pantry built into the kitchen for storage because there wasn't enough storage. And so underneath the stairs, I wanted a whole load of shelves that would be like, almost a walk-in pantry.
Yeah.
And I was feeling really guilty about the fact that I didn't want to do it myself.
Oh.
And so I talked to my dad about it. My dad said, "How much is he charging you an hour?" And I told him the figure that the carpenter had quoted us. Yeah. And he went, "And how much do you get paid an hour?" And I told him how much I get paid an hour. And he went, "Right, there you go. The sums have worked himself out for you. He gets paid less than you, therefore your time is worth more than his time, therefore it makes sense to pay him your money so that you can make your money with your time." And I said, "Okay, but why do you do it?" He went, "Because I don't get paid as much as an electrician, I don't get paid as much as a plumber, and I don't get paid as much as a bricklayer. So I will do all of those jobs because I don't want to be in deficit." And he said, "The moment that you are in deficit is the moment that you do the job yourself." And that was his equation. So he does stuff because he costs less than the people it would cost to employ.
Wow. I mean, it does open up questions about the value of what we do, doesn't it? Which is, I guess, is perhaps a different conversation. That is, how is it possible that someone with those kinds of skills is paid less than the kind of things that you and I do?
Oh, absolutely. But I don't think that's not a neoliberal lid we want to lift off that particular can of worms, is it?
No.
Or maybe it's a lid off a
can of neoliberal worms.
Yeah,
I love my worm. I love my neoliberal worms. They're.
But yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. There is what we value and what we are prepared to pay for is quite astounding. And what we have decided is "quote unquote" professional, and what we consider isn't. What is a trade versus what is a profession? Just the language that we have in English,
so weird,
to
isn't
separate people.
Or the knowledge. Now we have knowledge workers. It just makes me kind of gip. Yeah, I had a. Oh yes, you're making me think that one of the remarkable things about encountering other human beings, aside from watching people perform skills. I have to say, it's one of the things I've always liked about sport. Is going, wow. I remember the first time I went to the Australian Open. So I'd been to the US Open a couple of times, but I had these amazing seats at the Australian Open. I can't remember how I got them, but they were like box seats, so they're really low down. And I was watching, have you ever heard of a tennis player called Andre Agassi?
Yes, he was married to Brooke Shields.
I'm sorry, but in my head, I could hear your response, which was he was married to Brooke Shields.
Well, that's the only reason one would ever need to know someone. I've no idea.
Steffi Graf. Have you heard of Steffi Graf?
German tennis player. Lady's name? It's a lady. A German tennis player. Right. No, I don't know her.
But I can't remember what I was going to say. They were talking about seeing Andre Agassi playing, but that was a loop out of something else, and I can't remember. Oh, yes. Anyway, I finished the Andre Agassi thing, which was seeing him play, and this was towards the end of his career. But it was effectively courtside, but at one end. So it means you're low down as opposed to sitting up high, looking down on them. And it was an early round. It wasn't, so he wasn't playing anyone particularly well known. But as you know, I was an advanced, a very skilled tennis player. But it blew my mind how fast he was. And how it was extraordinary. It was really, and there was so much pleasure for me in seeing that kind of. But yeah, it was. There's a kind of appreciation of that. It was amazing. Yeah. But what I was going to say was, and this was, I don't quite know how it connects to the Andre Agassi thing now, but maybe in the edit you can fix that. And was that sense of the strange thing when we encounter differences on how people spend their time. just a really simple thing about, oh, why is it that you would spend your time doing that? And trying to get my head around why someone might spend, 3 hours a day on Reddit, for example. Why, And so, it's just, I'm kind of fascinated by trying to understand those sorts of differences, or even if they're understandable.
Yeah, I don't think they are understandable, are they? I mean, I can't understand why Bob would want to stay up late at night and sleep in the morning, and she can't understand why I think getting up at 5:10 at this time of year is just perfection, and I'd like to be in bed by 7. It's it's. And a long time ago, I relaxed into recognizing that we have, a probably 4-hour window where we're both occupying the same level of consciousness and focus, which is lovely, a lovely period of time. But
is that about basically like 1 p.m. to 5 p.m.?
Yeah, it's probably maybe it's more like 12 to 4 if I'm honest. I'm tailing off by 5 o'clock. Which is why everybody at work has learned, maybe don't put Lee in a meeting at 4 till 5 because he'll just start to cry. He'll just want to climb under the table and go, somebody bring me some warm milk.
Are you actually sucking your thumb there?
I mean, yeah, that's pretty much what they... have you
been caught sucking your thumb in a team meeting before?
I'm quite...
It's only happened to me twice.
I find the move to Teams has been great because I just drop my face down and just gently
quickly
suckle my thumb, and I'm fine. Then I'm able to return to the conversation.
It's much harder in real face to face, sort of leaning over to quietly suck your thumb while someone's talking to you. I'm going to try it this week, though.
Me too.
I'll let you all know how it goes.
Yeah, I might save it until I'm chairing a particularly awkward committee and just put my
do you mute yourself? Like, are you quite a noisy thumb sucker, or is it?
Let's find out.
That's the first time we've sucked our thumbs on mid-lifing.
To segue back to how people spend their time.
I think jump cut is the word anyway.
I would just like to say one of the reasons I have been not quite leaping out of bed not long after 5, but certainly feeling keen to be up and about. It's the time of year when the seal is in the river again.
I imagine Jeffrey's pretty keen as well.
He likes to look at him, and we both... Well, he sits down and stares, and I stand and stare. And we've had various types of shows from the seal. We had a head pop up out of the water, and then a 360-degree turn, just the head, just sort of spinning around. And then I like to think there was... Yeah, I like to think there was a little wink, and then he went under the water, but it might have just been him blinking. But I'm going to say he winked at us.
Definitely.
And then we've had the full kind of sort of whale breaching and going under thing. It's just, we've had so many little, we've had 3.
Is it just the spring? It's not in the autumn as well? Just once a year, more or less.
I think it's about what time I'm able to be out of the house and what time the sun comes up that I'm able to see his morning activities.
I've got you.
I suspect he's doing this all year round, but I'm not going to be walking in the pitch black, and even if I was, I wouldn't be able to see him.
Right.
So this is just perfect. As long as I'm out before and by the river before 6, I usually get a little visit with him, and he's or she. I don't know the gender. I'm sorry that if I've made a mistake, but it is a truly beautiful creature.
Oh,
that's been my week, watching the seal in the morning with my good friend Jeff.
So the rest of the week was it was I'm still dodging the news, which is starting to feel a little bit weird. And then I bumped into a neighbour last weekend. I was, that was part of the pitch tenting. No.
Ah, yes. How was the pitch tenting?
Well, I took it outside. I pitched my tent outside, which, yes, that's right. And because it was a sunny day, and I was in order to waterproof it, I needed to pitch the tent outside. And it's amazing when you do that on a sunny day, and all my neighbours were coming out and asking me what was going on, and it was a really lovely afternoon, just sort of having a series of quite elongated conversations with my next door neighbours. But one of them said, said that he was deeply troubled by what's going on in the world. And I went, oh, what is going on? And he looked at me slightly, I think slightly, a little bit like your house, a little bit wonky and askew.
Uh-huh.
And I said, I'm so sorry, but I about 2 months ago, maybe it was longer, I decided that I didn't need to keep looking at the news, that it was becoming a thing in my life and he said, that's wise.
Yeah.
And then, he talked about China and Taiwan and Russia and Ukraine and just the sort of...
So he was anxious about the global stuff.
Global geopolitics. Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So I would like to ask, seriously, how has the bread business gone? Talk to us about it. Come on, show off.
So, did you say show off?
Come on, because you should. You should be proud of yourself, and I want you to use this platform to tell everybody how well you've done.
Well, thank you. I was just speaking to a friend in Italy this morning, actually, while I was still baking. I did get up at 4 a.m. and I did describe it as a sort of hobby with benefits because it's
okay.
Because there's no question that it's just a bit more than a hobby. Because I can't really scale up anymore.
Yeah.
I'm already at that limit. I could do it every day, which would be pretty taxing. But so what it's really interesting is just to go, okay, it's quite different. It's, just technically it's quite different, the processes, because I'm working with a lot more dough, but also because, and this is that thing about skill, I guess, which what's happening now when I'm making bread, I pay attention very little to time. I keep an eye on temperature of the dough a lot, but I'm just looking. So I'm able to pay attention to how it looks, but before deciding when to go to a next phase, for example. So I'm even in this process, which of course is only 2 weeks old now, I'm messing with it lots. And while it's a long way from being settled into. So there's something about my understanding of it, which has grown enormously in the last year, really. Yeah. But then also, but now there's a sort of sense of being able to play with a process and get something kind of settled in where I can feel, okay, yep, I can do this. Because I don't, at the moment, I'm like, what time do I have to get up in order to cook all that bread, 2 loaves at a time?
Yeah.
But it's great. I just bike down, I put them all in an old 25 kilogram bag of flour and then put them in a big backpack and then bike down. And so I've hit the limit. I can limit in terms of amount of fridge space and how much I can carry and how long it takes. And so, it's basically 10. Maybe I could do 12 at a stretch, but that's it. Do you think your relationship to beauty has changed as you've got older?
Oh, wow. That's a question that needed to be asked at the beginning of the recording.
I thought it was it only just come to me because of you were just talking about, because of what you've just been describing about seal and...
Absolutely my relationship to beauty's changed because I think I see it, I think I can see beauty in so much more now. I think I'm more forgiving of... certainly of people's expression of how they want to be in the world. I'm able to find much more joy in it rather than kind of thinking that person doesn't look like Winona Ryder, therefore they're not pretty. That ages me, doesn't it?
You slacker.
I know. Or Molly Ringwald, if we want to be really honest.
Oh, wait, can we just pause? Molly Ringwald. She propped up a lot of teenage lives, didn't she?
She was a very special creature for a very short window of time.
And she still is, though.
Oh, I'm sure she absolutely is, but she was very present for many people.
Thank you, Molly. And also Winona.
Yeah, Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, Winona was less, but possibly because at the same time we had Winona, we also had Keanu.
Yeah, I was
I
more
mean,
into Ali Sheedy, I have to say. But anyway, but yeah.
90, more than 1991 Keanu.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, I think I was too rigidly straight. Sadly so as
yeah.
well,
I think
actually.
I remember thinking that he was like ethereally beautiful and it transcended gender for me.
What was he in 91? What was he playing in then?
He was probably coming off the back of Bill
Bill
and
and Ted.
Ted's. And I think he would have been heading towards or had just been in My Own Private Idaho with
Oh,
River
God, with
Phoenix.
River Phoenix.
God, that was a beautiful film. Heartbreakingly beautiful. Gus
It
Van Sant.
was.
I loved that film. I'm trying to think. And then, but it was before his Dracula days, which is when I just went, ugh, curtains in a silly accent. What was I thinking?
Oh, right, okay. Um, yeah, that thing you're saying about beauty also is, it also circles back a little bit to. I liked the way you said that you're more open. I think I'm not quite sure the word you used to also the various ways in which, let's say, beauty is manifest in people, or the kinds of things that they're, and it just circles back to that, that sort of trouble I had with how is it that you're interested in this, that kind of question about what it is that people value.
Yeah.
But I like what you said there. It makes me. Do you go looking for it, or do you think it's just more beauty that is, or do you think you're just more open for it to be, that you're more available to it, and so you've started seeing it more?
Oh, that's interesting. I think I go looking for it less, and so as a result, I am struck by things more.
And there's this sort of sense for you that when you're, I guess we're talking more about being outside here, but is there a sense that you tend towards seeing larger things, or is it that there's a sort of that you're also zooming in and we might catch a tiny thing which evokes the same sense of wonder
Oh no,
or
there's
awe?
definitely a sense of zooming in. Definitely a sense of
Right.
zooming in. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a really it's a very beautiful note to I'm thinking to finish on.
Oh, let's do that.